I'm Nicholas Balsi here on Capitol Hill, where the Senate found President Trump not guilty on both articles of impeachment. I wanted to get your reaction to the vote, why you decided to vote guilty on the two impeachment articles.
Right.
And what do you think about the Republicans who didn't side with you and went the other way?
Well, first, every senator has to make up their own mind, and I'm not going to spend any time talking about why someone voted on acquittal. I will be very critical, though, of the Republicans voting as a caucus, except with, I guess, two exceptions, on not allowing any relevant witnesses or any relevant documents. But in terms of the charges, the two articles we voted on today, the first on abuse of power, I think the evidence was substantial and compelling that the president solicited the interference of a foreign government in the next election. That's a very serious charge, which I think was proven. And number two is, and not by way of exclusion to other parts of the charges, but number two, he also demanded from that government that they investigate his political opponent as well as to investigate a debunked theory about the last election. Both are serious charges. Both were proven. I think most Republican senators would agree with that they were proven. There's not a lot of debate about what happened here. The only question is what should happen when a president abuses their power. I just believe that when a public servant takes an oath, they have an oath to the Constitution, and they take an oath not to in any way abuse their power. Hamilton said in Federalist number 65 that the impeachment is basically about a violation of some public trust. When people give you their trust after an election, they expect you not to abuse it, especially abusing it by involving a foreign government in the election or getting that foreign government to do your political work for you prior to an election. So there are serious charges in the second article about obstruction of Congress. I think it was an unconstrained kind of blanket refusal to provide witnesses and documents over the course of the investigation, and I think that was proven as well.
I just talked to a Republican senator who said the Democrats in the House did not prove their case before it came over to the Senate. Do you think there was more that the Democrats in the House could have done to prove the case more?
I think the record in the House was substantial and compelling. I thought they had a very compelling record. That record, though, was amplified or enhanced by the emails that were disclosed from Mr. Duffy and others over the course of the holidays. Other journalism did continue to do its work and unearth other information. The Bolton disclosure, the unpublished manuscript, was further evidence and put the president and Mr. Bolton in total conflict. In trials, that's why you have witnesses and you have examination of a witness and then cross-examination. So you can unearth the truth, or as best you can, between one side versus the other. So we have different points of view about the House record, but I think it was very strong and compelling. And what's encouraging here is, as frustrating as a process like this can be, sometimes on both sides, is you had Americans who came forward, who had served their country in combat, who served their country as diplomats for decades, who came forward risking their jobs and even their reputations and saying, I want to testify and tell the truth. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, Ambassador Yovanovitch, Ambassador Taylor, these are people who have served the country with distinction. I was at least gratified that they came forward and told the truth under oath.
Is impeachment something that the Senate or the House and the Senate could revisit, or you think should revisit if Trump were to win again in 2020?
I don't think it'll be predicated on who wins or who loses. Impeachment must be predicated on grave, substantial misconduct like was engaged in here. And that you have to start from that basic premise. What is the duty of a public servant? What's the duty of an elected public official? And as some said over and over again, if this is not impeachable conduct by a president, you have to ask the question, what is?